Hi everybody, Jake here. Hope everyone's doing well today. Hope everyone's having a very good Monday today. I know I certainly am. I'm very excited about this Cleveland Guardians versus Detroit Tigers matchup we have in the first round of the playoffs here. I was kind of late to get in on this, on making a video for the Guardians. I didn't make one to end the season. I don't know why I didn't get into it earlier, but maybe I felt like I didn't want to jinx them. I don't know, but I didn't make a video on the Guardians to end the season. I wanted it to just finish out, and then I could start fresh for whatever they make the playoffs. But I do want to go over the run that the Guardians had to close the season, because it is something that I've never seen before. A team to come together the way that they did and come back from 15 and a half down. As of September 4th, they were 11 and a half down to the Tigers. Now, the Tigers did have an all-time collapse in that, but the Guardians pretty much won out the rest of the season. That team was very galvanized to close out the season. It doesn't get more Cleveland Guardians, more Cleveland, really, than what the Guardians were able to do to close out the season and capture the American League Central title from the Tigers. This is now the second year in a row that the Guardians won the American League Central. So, and that stuff, personally, to me, is very important. You raise a banner for that, dude. So it's important to me, I feel, and I think it was important to those players yesterday to win the game. I know the Tigers had already lost. The Guardians won the Central before the conclusion to the Rangers Guardians game, but for the game to end the way it did with that Rocchio 3-run home run, it puts an exclamation point on it. As Ryan Day would say, shout out Ohio State, as Ryan Day would say, we leave no doubt. So the Guardians certainly left no doubt, and it did feel good for them to finish off the season the way they did and play 6 against the Tigers, and were able to put together 2 great series against them. I think they went 5-1. What was it? 5-1 against them down the stretch. They won all 3 in Detroit and then captured 2 of the 3 in Cleveland, beating Tarek Skubal once, both times, in Detroit and in Cleveland. So that's important for what I want to talk about today. I want to give my preview of the series, what we might see, kind of my thoughts going into it, how I'm feeling about it, and then I'll give you guys a prediction of what I think how this might shake out. So let's jump into this video. I got my coffee here. I'm in my element, so this is, I couldn't ask for much more. So we'll jump into this. I got the lineup pulled up from when the Guardians were 3.5 back and they brought the Tigers to town. I don't have I do have the date. The September 23rd game when they played Skubal, because I think that's going to be the most beneficial to us. We can kind of see what the Guardians were thinking then. They treated this as a playoff game back then, so this lineup is probably going to be comparable to what they put out tomorrow. We don't have the lineup details. All that we know is it's going to be Gavin versus Tarek Skubal tomorrow, and what should be an awesome game. In that game, they rolled out the usual suspects of Quan, Angel Martinez, Jose. David Fry isn't going to be there. He has the broken nose and facial stuff going on. It was great to see him, by the way, with the team yesterday, holding the flag. That was pretty awesome. Gabby, Arias, Manzardo, John Kenzie Noel, Rocchio, and Hedges. I actually think this lineup is going to be pretty similar to what they're going to roll out tomorrow. I'm not sure what they're going to do in the DH spot, because David Fry's not there. I saw a tweet from Zach Meisel that said Chase DeLauder could even be in play to make the playoff roster. Do they roll him out there tomorrow? I don't know. You're going to want to go heavy righty against Tarek Skubal, who's a lefty. I'm in support of keeping John Kenzie Noel probably in the lineup, just because he was able to have success, quote-unquote success, against Tarek Skubal with the home run. It's tough to play against Skubal. That dude is one of my... I gotta say this because I'm going to be unbiased here. He is one of my favorite pitchers in the league. I do like Skubal a lot. That dude is the Reaper on the mound. He is incredible. It's just a shame he has to play for the crappy Tigers, but it's going to be difficult to get any sort of offense rolling, especially I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but I certainly saw it, and a lot of people saw it. The stat that came up that it was like the Guardians' overall team average is like 225 going into the playoffs, and that's the lowest team average since the 1906 White Sox. That's disturbing. So you're asking the Guardians to put together offense against the guy in Tarek Skubal. It's just unhittable. you have found some success against him in the last 2 games that they played against him. This last one in Cleveland, they really had some success with him. So this lineup is probably going to be what they roll with. I don't know what they're going to do at the DH spot. You could see DeLauder there, or they bring out somebody else that they put platooning all year. And then you're not going to start Hedges, I wouldn't think. At catcher, you're probably going to put Bo in that spot. So that is kind of my expectation for the lineup tomorrow. As far as what I think is going to happen, and I'll just give my little keys to victory for what I think the Guardians are going to have to do against Scooble to get a win here. You're in Cleveland, so that feels good, but since the game's at 1 o'clock, I don't know that you're probably not going to have a sellout. I wouldn't imagine. At 1 o'clock, it's on a Tuesday. People got work and stuff, so we'll see what the show out is like, but I wouldn't expect them to sell out by any means. But keys to victory going into this game, at least you're at home. You'll have the home crowd behind you. What the Guardians are probably going to have to do, and this is the biggest key to victory, I know that this offense, I've accepted it, is not going to go put up a 5-spot, a 6-spot, 7 runs on Tarek Skubal. You're going to have to keep this low scoring. The Guardians will have to capitalize whenever they have opportunities, when they get base runners. If Tarek Skubal walks people, we saw he had some issues walking guys in the last 2 games. So if the Guardians can generate some base runners that way, they need to capitalize on scoring runs whenever they are in opportunistic situations. So if the Guardians get a guy to first, we got to run the bases effectively. We have to steal second base. We have to do all the right things. You got to play almost perfect against Skubal to generate some runs, essentially, in this one. So the Guardians, if they can go get 2 runs, 3 runs, that's going to be important. But the most important thing, and I'm kind of sorry, you guys just have to forgive me. I get the yapping, and I just go in a circle. I just get the yapping. But they're going to have to pitch well. And that's really what the Guardians did to close out the season. We saw those crazy stats of how many runs they allowed in that final stretch. And it was a handful of times they allowed more than 2 runs to close out the season. So the biggest thing that the Guardians are going to have to do is hold Detroit to probably 3 runs or less. If Skubal goes 7 innings, that's a lot of trouble for the Guardians to get into. They're going to have to keep it low scoring, at least in this first game. Detroit has some, I guess, not as great talent in their pitching rotation. Maybe you get Flaherty next game. I don't know what direction they go in there, but the drop-off between Skubal to Flaherty is pretty stark. So this game is going to be the biggest game of the series, I believe. Game 1, if you get out and you win Game 1, there's nobody that the Tigers are putting out better than Skubal. And you're probably going to have the mental edge over them. If you beat them in Game 1, I don't know how Detroit comes back from that. Just because it's been one thing after another with the Guardians beating them, and they beat them in several different ways. So the biggest thing they're going to have to do is keep this low scoring. I say 2 to 3 runs. The pitching is going to have to be fantastic. You're going to have to get a great start out of Gavin Williams, and you're going to have to get a good performance out of the bullpen. Second thing they're going to have to do is be opportunistic. Like I said, they're going to have to run the bases effectively. It's not rocket science. If the Guardians get walks, they have to steal. They have to tag up. They got to do all the right things. Skubal's not an easy guy to get runs off of, so they're going to have to do all the right things on the base paths. And then the third thing, pretty obvious, they're going to have to play great defense. If we're going to keep it low scoring, we got to help out our starting pitcher. Our defense has to be locked in. They got to do all the right things. They got to keep this low scoring, and they got to give their offense a chance to go win the baseball game. Again, I think it's a huge benefit that you're at home in this situation, and you're going to have the home crowd behind you. I think that was really important going into the game yesterday against Texas. So everything is shaping up for this to be a great series. That's what they got to do in Game 1 if they want to win this one. But I do think confidently, if the Guardians do win this game against Skubal, it was the same thing. I was talking to my dad about it. If the Guardians beat Skubal in the first game, who are the Tigers going to put out there that gives you a better chance to win than Skubal? They don't have that guy. So if the Guardians win Game 1, I think they win Game 2 easily. But if the Guardians happen to lose Game 1, I think all bets are off. It'll be interesting to see what happens. My final prediction for what I think is going to happen, I think the Guardians are probably going to win this series in 2 games. I think they're going to beat Scooble tomorrow. I don't know what the game script is going to look like. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm going to go out on a whim, and I'm going to say that the Guardians are going to pull this off. I think you're going to get a great start out of Gavin. I think the Guardians are going to do all the right things, and let's just face it. The Guardians have had the mental edge over Detroit. I think a Detroit fan would tell you that. The Guardians just have Detroit's number, especially this season, and even last season they beat them in the playoffs. Maybe you can say what you want about the Guardians not hitting well, but we do hit well against Detroit. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Guardians dispatch of Detroit pretty quickly in this one. As long as they beat Scooble, I think it's easy sledding for the Guardians after that. Yeah, those are my thoughts. That's what I think is going to happen in this one. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know your prediction. Let me know what you think the Guardians got to do to get a win in this series. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. If you guys haven't had an opportunity, go ahead and check in the description. My X account's over there. I'd love to talk to you guys over there about the game. It's the easiest place for me to keep up with you guys while the game's going on. I can interact with you guys. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think is going to happen. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Go Guards, baby.